Today I have to share with you about a purple unicorn of an active adult community we have right here in Mesa, Arizona. And the reason I say purple unicorn is way more common to see that our 55 plus communities either have an HOA or you're in a land lease situation where there's lot rent. In other words, you own the home but you do not own the land. And that's not for everybody, as I've mentioned in one of my prior videos. We do see a lot of people will come here and they'll start out that way, and sometimes they just love it. They love the community where they landed. They don't mind the lot rent. And then we get others that go, okay, I tried it. You know, they're often a very lower price point, but now I want to move into something where I do own my own land. But once in a blue moon, we get told, I want to be in a 55 plus community. I want all those amenities, but I do not want an HOA. And let me tell you, that's like finding a needle in a haystack, unless you're looking in Dreamland Villa. And it just so happens we have two closing in Dreamland this month, so I thought I'd do a video on that particular community. One of the reasons that we have two closing here in the month of March is because our active adult communities are very seasonal. And what I mean by that is a lot of our active adult homeowners, this is many times a second home for them. And if it is, they don't want to be here in the summer. And if they are here in the summer and they're selling this summer, usually they're not going to often get the best possible terms, pricing, because most of our homes, or many of them in our active adult communities, they sell in the first quarter of every year. Now here's the thing, we do have homes closed in our 55 plus communities all year long, of course. The common scenario that we see is that people have come down for 2-3 years and they've often rented for the season to get a feel for Arizona, the community, see if that's what they're looking for, what they really like, before they pull the trigger and actually buy a home here, whether it's going to be a second home or they're looking to make the transition here full time. Well, you have to pre-rent those places. You know, the season to rent them, so to speak, is going to often be somewhere from, you know, maybe late September, October, all the way through March. Many people start heading back home, if they're not going to stay here all year, right around early April, or as soon as we start seeing some of that 100-degree weather. Well, you have to pre-rent those homes a year in advance. They are very challenging to find a really nice home to rent because these are furnished homes. They often already have the renter pre-scheduled for a couple years at a time. Well, like I said, what happens is after a couple years, someone goes, hey, I think we really want to be in here. And a lot of times they already love the community. They've built a circle of friends. They know all about the activity, so they want to be in that community. So what will happen is they'll kind of look when they first get back into town. They're looking, you know, in October, November, December. They're looking in January. But then right about February, most of our 55 plus buyers that are looking specifically in a 55 plus community anyway, they start pulling the trigger. And that's because they don't want to pay lot rent, or they don't want to pay for an HOA for the months that they've already prepaid for their rental, right? Prepaid for the year. So we find that a lot of our homes seasonally go under contract in our active adult communities in the month of February, or very quick closes in the month of March, and then they start to taper off, like I said, come April with the heat, or as it gets a little bit warmer. So while Dreamland Villa does not have an HOA, they do have an optional membership club, social membership club, because they offer a ton of amenities. So I'm going to share with you what many of those amenities are, and then I'll tell you what the costs are per year. And the great news is, if you're looking in Dreamland Villa, it's completely up to you. You can plug and play, be a part of all the social activities, or if that's not your thing, no worries. No worries at all. At Dreamland Villa, you'll find two clubhouses, Reed Hall and Farnsworth Hall. Now, the entire community, the full 18 sections of it, was originally started by some Farnsworth brothers. So you'll see Farnsworth a lot throughout the Dreamland Villa community. Farnsworth Hall has an auditorium with a stage, So you'll often see dances, plays, concerts, craft fairs, you name it. They have all kinds of social activities in there. As a matter of fact, there's so many social activities in Dreamland Villa that there's an activities director who puts together and puts out to the residents a monthly update of the calendar of events. As an avid reader, I can appreciate the fact that they have a library on site, they have a restaurant, they have bocce ball courts and shuffleball courts and pickleball courts and a lapidary. That was a new one to me, but apparently it's carving with wood or gems. There's a wood shop, there's an art studio, they have health and wellness with blood pressure checkups and aerobics, water aerobics. They have 2 outdoor pools, there's a hot tub, they have a 1-mile desert walking path to take in just a leisurely nature stroll. Their meeting room can host up to 150 people, so you can really have nice large gatherings. Card games galore, just about any card game you can think of. I always love a good game of canasta. And then let's not forget, of course, there's golf leagues and bowling leagues and book clubs, and you name something you'd love to get together and do with people, Dreamland's got you covered. The building of this community started in 1959 and wrapped up around 1978. So we do have to give lead-based paint disclosures in there. Really, the long and short of that just says, hey, don't lick the walls because lead-based paint, if it were still around, could be hazardous to your health, of course. The concept of Dreamland Villa was based off of Youngstown, Arizona. The Farnsworth brothers, they just really liked it, decided we needed one here in Mesa. So the closest cross streets for Dreamland Villa, if you were to look on a map for some major cross streets, would be University and Brown to Wrecker and Not Quite Power. That's kind of the general area of where you will find Dreamland Villa in Mesa. So we're really near the 60, the 202, which gives us close and great access to the airport, local medical facilities. A mile down the road, we have Banner Baywood, which is a known heart hospital. We also have Honor Health Mountain Vista nearby, as well as Dignity Health. So there's lots and lots of medical facilities and options and freeway access, shopping and dining of just about everything you could ever imagine and want and need, from, you know, your Home Depots to your Lowe's to Costco to mom and pop restaurants to large chain restaurants. We've got all of that really within a good 10-minute drive of Dreamland Villa. We even have Superstition Mall, which is about 10 minutes away, which has anchor stores like JCPenney, and then the Cheesecake Factory, and lots of other places to eat right there nearby. Dreamland Villa itself has about 5,200 people that live in that community. It has just over 2,700 homes. They're all single story. As I mentioned, they're older, but many of them have been updated. The smallest homes are about 900 square feet, and the largest model you'll see in Dreamland is going to be just under 2,000 square feet, and they range anywhere from 1-bedroom homes to 3-bedroom homes. They all came with carports, but you'll see that many people have converted those carports into an actual garage, which is fairly inexpensive to do and really adds a nice value to your home when you do that. Currently in Dreamland Villa, there are 31 homes for sale, with the starting price point at $250,000 and the highest price point at $350,000. Now, these are all stick-built standalone homes. They're not townhomes or condos. They're all single story. They all come with a nice decent lot, usually of anywhere from 7,000 to 9,000 square feet, because there's no HOA, there's no restrictions. So when I've sold in there before, there was no issue with parking, for example, your RV or your camper right there at your property. You of course always want to check with any city ordinances to see if anything on that has changed, but as of right now, I believe you can still do that. Now, with those 31 homes for sale, there's also 21 homes that are under contract, 2 of those being ours at the moment. So one of the homes, we had the buyer. The home had really no updates for the most part at all, other than some major mechanicals like the roof and the HVAC system, the AC system. And so that home, you know, is closer to the $280,000 mark after being on the market for a really long time. And then the other home will be closing here this month. It very updated in just about every component and aspect. Fenced in yard, I should mention, some of the homes will have fenced in yards and some will not. It's not a requirement, and when you go to do that, that's a cost you'll need to take on yourself unless you can get your neighbor to maybe agree to some of that cost. And that would obviously be a concern if maybe you had a pet, a small dog, or you have grandchildren that visit you from time to time, or whatever concern for why you would need a fence, of course. But you'll find many homes just do not have that. And so this particular home that we are selling and about to close on, we went under contract within the first 2 weeks. Like I said, it had been fully updated from soup to nuts, and it will be closing at one of the highest price points for this season in the neighborhood at $365. Now, another component of the homes in Dreamland Villa is that when they originally started building them, the bulk of them were on septic. So there's septic here, you have sewer here. Septic is, not a problem. I own a couple homes on septic. It just comes with some different things that you have to pay attention to. So one of those being you have to have it pumped out every, I think they recommend about every 5 years or so. Just depends on how many people live in the home, how much usage. There are some state required forms, inspections, pump out, and fees that have to happen when you do go to sell your home that have to be done within 6 months of closing. So the one I mentioned that we are buying, we have the buyer. Unfortunately, the seller had the septic pumped immediately, and it took her just over 6 months to sell the house. It was like 6 months and 2 weeks. Well, the state regulations are very specific. It must be within 6 months of the closing date. And so unfortunately, that seller had to have it re-inspected and re-pumped to meet the state requirements for us to be able to close on time, or for us to be able to close. A good chunk of those homes will be on septic. Here in Arizona, the buyers are responsible for all their own due diligence, as well as the cost of any inspections they'd like to have done, with the exception of that septic. That 100% must be done and is a required item for the seller. Now, I can't forget, I promised you I would give you the information about the cost to be a part of the social membership should you opt in for that particular part of the community. I'm going to go ahead and just read some of this to you so I don't get it right. This is from our most recent contract. Now, the social membership is a non-profit, and is for offering events, activities, and facilities for the enjoyment of the residents and maintaining Dreamland Villa's status as a 55 plus age restricted community. There is a one-time transfer fee of $400 per household, a one-time escrow response fee of $50 per household, and or an annual fee of $250. This is a non-mandatory fee, but it is requested for each person living in the residence. Should you opt into this, a key card is provided for each person paying the annual fee. It provides access to the DVRC community properties, including the pool, activity rooms, read hall, and attendance at board study sessions, meetings, and voting. So all fees associated with the Dreamland Villa retirement community to be paid by the buyer should you opt in, because it would be a buyer optional membership. While Dreamland Villa was one of the first active adult communities built, as you can see, many decades ago, it remains an extremely popular option here in Arizona, especially if you're looking to land in the East Valley. And it's a nice bridge between the land lease homes price point and what they have to offer, and the other active adult communities where you do own the land, but they often have a larger HOA fee associated with those particular communities, where the membership and activities are often, they're not optional, they're just a part of your HOA cost. So if Dreamland Villa is for you, wonderful. We'd love to help guide you through that process and share with you. It's literally maybe 10 minutes down the street here from our office in Mesa. If it's not for you, we're happy to help you explore other areas of Arizona. Days, nights, and weekend, we are here to help you with your real estate needs.